Picks of the week.
My pick of the week is the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 by AT&T. I want to thank AT&T for sending this over for me to have for a couple weeks to play around with. And I use this as my everyday phone for about 2 to 3 weeks, like I did with the Lumia 920, which I did a review for that also, courtesy of AT&T. And I want to go through just the process of using this phone over the last 2 weeks, how it was for me, what I like, what I didn't like. So, as you can see, this phone is humongous. I'm going to compare it with my other phone here. So, I have a Galaxy. Let's hit back here. Let's hit back again. There we go. So, I have a Samsung Galaxy Nexus here by Verizon. I have the Note 2 here. And as you can see, there is
How big is the Note 2? What size is the screen? Is it a
5.5 inch?
5.5?
Yeah,
wow.
It's a big phone. I mean, this thing is humongous. At first, it was a little too big, and I had a lot of issues actually fitting this in my pocket and getting used to it. But after about a week of using it, I really got the hang of it. And I have to tell you, it is a really good phone. And I would actually recommend this as an enterprise phone. And I'll tell you why.
Really?
The battery life on this thing is phenomenal because it has a humongous battery. I'll show you guys here. When I say humongous, it is insanely big battery back here. And it's replaceable. So if you wanted a secondary battery in this thing, very easily, you could just pop it in there and have a second battery or even go with a bigger battery.
That's really good considering that there's so many phones these days that you just can't take the back off and stick in a new battery.
Yeah. The other thing about this is that it's a quick phone, and you know I've been kind of critical about Android and saying that almost every Android phone kind of feels the same, and I'm kind of criticizing it. And I'm kind of saying that it's kind of uniformed and it's mature to the point that you're having a similar experience on everything. This does have the Samsung add-ons to it. They have a couple of things that they're adding on to it that I'm not really crazy about. Via the Samsung UI, and I got to put the cover back on. It also has a stylus for anybody that wants to write on this thing. You could use a stylus with it, and you know what? I really like it. The only issue I still have with it is that it's too big for me at times. If I'm running around with it, I'm having issues putting it in my pocket or putting it in my jacket pocket, where I don't have that with a traditional 4.5-inch phone or whatever the size is. I know that a lot of people actually like this, the fact that it's that big, but for me, it's a little too big. I can't get beyond that. But again, really well done by Samsung. I really think that it's well built. It's a beautiful phone, and if you're looking for something in between your phone and a tablet, this is a great option. So
now you're not necessarily like a big Android fan out there. I mean, there's other devices that you also like as much as the Android devices.
Yeah, listen,
Why would you say that you like this device more than other Android devices that are out on the market?
All right, so if I'm going to compare this with, let's say, the Samsung S3, for example.
Yes.
The S3 is a phenomenal phone, and it's a smaller version of this. So I kind of it's the same thing for me. The experience is almost nearly identical. The only thing is, if you want something a little larger, this is great for you to have. There are people that really want the size of the screen. They're really big on that. For them, that's a very important part. In enterprise, again, I know a lot of people that like this phone. I can't really explain it, but they do. And I guess it has to do with the fact that it's a big phone and the battery life is great, because that's the only pro that I could really think of for someone to have a large phone like this. But again, with that said, this is only my personal opinion on it. If I were to take my opinion out of this, I think it's a phenomenal phone. I think the phone works really well, and Samsung, it's well built too. So I would definitely recommend this as a pick of the week. But for me, it's a little too big. It's a little too big for an everyday phone for me. But I don't know, John. What size do you think is the perfect size?
Yeah, I had this discussion with a friend of mine like 2 days ago, and we were talking about the iPhone. And in all honesty, I in a way, it's weird because we had this whole trend where we're trying to make all these phones so much smaller, and now we're kind of on the opposite end where we want to make things larger because we're so content consumer driven now.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I'd like to see something around 4.5 to 4.8, maybe. I agree with you that 5-inch might be a little bit big for some
Well,
people.
5.5 inch.
5.5, yeah, that's really big. But my perfect device would be somewhere around 4.5, I think.
Yeah, I mean the Galaxy Note and the Galaxy Nexus and all the other phones are about 4.75 or 4.8 inches. The rumors are that the Nexus 5 is going to be 5 inches, which I would still be kind of okay with that. But again, this is a very good in between.
So I think
good in between.
Devices these days have to be at least 4.5 inches big.
I took this out with me a couple times, and I went to the bar and I put it on the table. Everybody came over. They go, "Oh my god, that phone is huge!" Like, oh my god,
it's a lady magnet.
It's a lady magnet. Yes, it really is.
It's a good excuse for breaking the ice with ladies.
Hey,
you see how big my phone is?
Is that a phone in your pocket, or are you just excited to see me? Is that a Galaxy Note in your pocket? But again, I would recommend this for anybody that is a enthusiast, anybody that is in the enterprise world, because the battery life is phenomenal. Stand by. I didn't touch it for a couple days, and the battery was, barely draining, which is great. LTE is phenomenal on this. A lot of good. I have a lot of good stuff to say about it, and that's my pick of the week.